Hello and welcome to another Cyber Squad gaming video. Today we're going to be talking about Xbox Game Pass going onto mobile devices and what this means for the future of gaming. Today with me I have Thomas. So how are you doing today, Thomas?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Okay, so let's get into this. So recently Game Pass came on and Phil Spencer, Xbox, came on the stage with Samsung at their event, their Galaxy event, and really pushed Game Pass with Samsung devices. And with Samsung being one of the leading mobile device manufacturers in the world, if not the leading mobile device manufacturer, doesn't that really push Game Pass into everyone's living room?
Yeah, I think so, but I think the market is where we're going to see what happens first because when it comes to mobile gaming, the biggest countries that use it, I think, are like Asian countries like China and Japan and whatnot. So it might be also another way for them to also get into those countries with their platform because they've also had issues with that in the past.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, I also think that you're seeing Call of Duty Mobile, you're seeing PUBG Mobile, they're really exploding in India and other places like that, and the world is full of what they like to call 2 billion gamers, and the majority of that is PC and mobile, or because you're looking at consoles making up maybe 100 to 150 million gamers worldwide.
Hmm. Well, I I have my own opinions about mobile gaming in general. I mean, I remember in the last like maybe like 5 years, it's really blown up from being something basic you can play on your phone, like some sort of farm manager, to actually playing AAA games to a degree, at least presentation wise. And they're pushing that now with the XCloud, where you're not having to actually run the phone like the game on your device, but you could just stream to it. So there's definitely interesting opportunities with it. It's just finding out how it will actually blend in with people using it. Like I said, there's countries that already have popularity with mobile gaming that's very accessible and will probably be the lane people to try it. But as far as I stand where I'm currently at using my phone, it's just my phone. I don't see myself anytime in the future getting some sort of device to play games on it for.
Well, that brings on to like, does xCloud with Game Pass, which is what we're talking about, really sort of change the way we play games? Because one of the things mobile games have had a big problem with is fidelity, right? I pick up my mobile game and it doesn't look great. Then all of a sudden I was on the open access beta for this, and I picked it up and was like, all of a sudden I was playing Ace Combat or Gears of War and going, this is pretty much, I want a bigger screen. But what I could say is, I think, and I was using a 4G LTE network, and I was thinking I could be using this on a business trip. Could I plug this into my Surface? Could I play this on my laptop? Could I do things like that? And I wonder if, yeah, mobile is the big push, the device in your hand, but is it maybe the fact that you can start using it on? It's more about the cloud bringing it to the device.
Well, we can go back to Stadia, right? I know Stadia and XCloud are different things, but Stadia definitely tried the market of being able to go into your browser, log in within seconds on different devices, play console games and whatnot. Sorry. um, but the other thing too is there's more than just streaming a game to a mobile device or a smaller device screen, because the games aren't necessarily designed to be played on those screens. Like you already mentioned, you might want a bigger screen to play it on. All of a sudden, the interface is smaller, the UI is smaller, the general gameplay might feel a bit weird just because it's not designed for it. Just bringing it to a smaller screen might not necessarily be what is needed. Whether they will decide to dedicate time to build um, mobile interface versions that have large UI, or where they will actually build exclusives that are like xCloud exclusive, something that is designed to be played on the smaller devices but can be upscaled, is something we've yet to see, or we don't even know if that's in their plans, to be honest.
Well, one of the things they've been talking about is scalable UI. So if you play on your phone, a special UI may came up with that's held in the cloud, right? So they're trying to alleviate that. I found with my experience, it was like certain games played really well on a phone and others didn't. I think my biggest use is I can play it on my Surface. I can play it on my on my business trips on my laptop. But one of the things that was interesting, I was talking to someone the other day about it, and they were like, if we're streaming it, how far are we off from just plugging a HDMI device in the back of my Samsung TV, i.e., the relationship with Galaxy? Or how far are we off of, because we stream Netflix in 4K, how far are we off just having a Game Pass app on the damn TV and you just access it and you play it. Because I mean, that's what we're talking about fundamentally changing how we play games is any screen, anywhere in the world, at any time, any device. I switch on a Bluetooth controller and I log into my account and I play my game. And yeah, I know people have used Stadia and said, it's not quite as good as playing on my computer or whatever it is, but I would consider those group a hardcore group of people, with their 2080 Ti's, their 27 Supers, their Ryzen, processors, their 3700s and whatever. And you're like, but most people aren't that way. They're playing on the original PlayStation on a 27-inch screen.
So the only experience I have with any sort of like cloud gaming is trying out PlayStation Now, and like you mentioned, being able to just go on because it's on the PC as well. And I'm not sure if you can get it on mobile devices and whatnot because it is a desktop app, but it is still the same. You can log in, and at the same time, you right away have access to about 100 or so titles you can stream. Now, that was my first time trying anything that was on-demand gaming, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was quite reactive. I could play the game. I mean, arguably there was a very little lag, whereas inputs and stuff, but you kind of get accustomed to it. The idea that that becomes the new standard of gaming, I think, is have two contrasting fields. Maybe when we get such fast internet that it becomes a one-to-one usage and you don't notice it. But I think you're going to have a very hard time convincing a lot of people who, for the last 25 years, have been playing on on consoles and buying disc games. I mean, we're still trying to get rid of the idea of even having discs, and I'm with the new PlayStation model that does discs and not discs. So they're still trying that, and then they're now starting to go another step already into this on-demand service for gaming without even a console at all.
Well, do you think also, I mean, we can change gears here a little bit because, this xCloud is coming. It's coming to Samsung phones, it's coming to the Surfaces, it's coming to all these things. Now, I'm not saying the games are set up to take on Nintendo, but look at Razer. They're currently pushing out, I think it's called a Kisher or some controller adapters where you put your phone in the middle, you clamp it between two controllers, and now your phone kind of reminds me of an old Sega handheld, but it's like a Nintendo Switch Lite, right? With a bunch of games, and it's not and in a bunch of fidelity. It can be better graphics in the Switch. It can be all these things. Now, it doesn't have Mario Kart and all that, but is there a part that's sort of saying, hey, we can go and start taking on handheld consoles like Nintendo Switch and things like that if we start seeing games like Grounded and other Xbox games coming on, why they've developed such a large party of first parties now, 15 studios, that they're going to start seeing more of these sort of easygoing games?
Well, I think if anybody is going to try something this grand in trying to shake up either the market or introduce a new way to play games, and really sell it or try to sell it, it's going to be Microsoft. We know they've tried these things in the past, and even if they haven't succeeded, they've learned from it and they can just throw money at it. It's Microsoft at the end of the day. Nintendo can't really do that. They know their market, they know what they go for, and they have a good play in the hand of who likes to play their games, tough players to play, and the people who are into their consoles. I'd say the same for Sony, but Sony is obviously a PlayStation, the generally more popular console. So Microsoft is still trying to just find a new way to do everything while still providing the same thing. Whether you can sit there, whether you can sit there and say Microsoft releases a new smaller like handheld device, like you said, whether you connect controllers or not, but it's entirely xCloud based, no hardware on board. So there's no idea of like comparing it to Switch. It's literally if you have a good internet, you can play games that are on like the Xbox Series X. Where's the comparison there? So I think it's brave to do all these crazy ideas, and they're doing them very quickly. So they're very quickly trying to change what's going on and how they can take control of stuff. But I'm more sitting back wanting to see how it works than wanting to push it to say this is going to be awesome. I'm more like if it works out and it ends up being like a really cool new way to play games and it does pick up in the right people in the right places and it's not requiring you to invest too much money or time to do it, and it just kind of works. Cool. More options to play games. Cool. But like I said, with Stadia, we already have a bit of a fallback on that dropping quite quickly after launch. And I know Microsoft's got more money. They've got more hands in the gaming market. But this cloud-based stuff is still relatively new, and trying to push it so hard so quickly, could backfire.
Well, is it a case that, let's go, but a Netflix, it's called Game Pass and XCloud, the Netflix of gaming, right? I mean, that's the catch line. Well, you look at Netflix, would you have thought that, say, 15 years ago when I had hundreds and hundreds of DVD collection, I would throw it all in the bin and just go to Netflix, right? I mean, I know there's a want to hang on to old medium, but I can't remember the last time I bought a DVD or a movie that wasn't either an Amazon Prime rental or a Netflix, right? I don't remember the last time I bought a physical copy of a game. Now, I may be on the leading edge of what's going on, but I buy everything for digital download. I mean, we've been digital downloading Steam for a decade or more. Now, I've got hundreds of games in Steam that I digitally download. And, that argument, well, I might want to play them one day if they disappear. My point is I don't often go back and play a game I bought 15 years ago. It's a convenience thing for me, right? But Netflix recently is worth 3 times the value of Sony, right? They're a $165 billion company on streaming alone. So is Microsoft Play, because Phil Spencer said this multiple times, they've said Xbox Series X, best way to play games if you get to buy and play away this fall, right? Take the PC argument out, take the PlayStation versus Xbox. What he's saying is hardware locally is the best way to play games. Great. But are they positioning themselves to say, when you're ready, we're here? Do you know what I mean? Like, they want to be first to market with a fully inclusive Xbox Game Pass library for $15.99 a month that has you covered, so the early converts buy into an ecosystem, and that's what they want to do. Is it that positioning? Like, it isn't quite ready, but they're positioning themselves at the front of the queue.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to say it. Like I said, I have nothing against them doing it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, that sounds stupid. I think this is silly. It's like, no, I can definitely see where we can go with this and how it's a new, it's a new way of experiencing games and gaming. But like I said, I'm not watching it to see it fail. I'm watching it to see it succeed. I'd like to more people in the games, more ways to play games, more options to play games. At the end of the day, if I decide, I have both consoles, as you know, the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 this generation. If next generation, I plan to get a PlayStation 5 first, but if I see games on Game Pass, the fact that I'd be able to stream them to my computer, or even play them off my computer if they're native, I mean, for $10 a month or $5 a month. I mean, that's really appealing to me because it will save me having to buy a console just to play games. And that's the argument in general. It's a really good entry model for anyone and for anything. However, like I said, I want to see it succeed, but I don't want to put my cards in it. I just want to see how it unfolds. Even if it has a slow launch, even if it's slow to get going, it'll still be considered success because Microsoft is behind it and they will know how to push it forward anyway. So even though on day one it might not be the millions and hundreds of million people signing up to play Game Pass on this Netflix streaming of gaming service, that doesn't matter. Even if like 1 million people signed up or 500,000 people signed up, it would still be considered success for the system.
So I got one last question then to finish this off, right? Let's hypothetically put ourselves on the line here, but in 5 years, so that's going to be PlayStation 5 Pro, Xbox Series X2, like the Pro versions, right? Are more people going to be signed up to these kind of cloud services than buying consoles in 5 years? Or do you think it's going to disappear, or are we looking at the future of gaming that's going to come to fruition over the next 5 to 10 years? And let's keep it simple. I'm going to say yes. I think maybe not 5 years, but 10 years from now, this is how we play games. I think that is the way it's going to go, right? They're even doing it with computers now, where you get on Nvidia and you play with their system, or computers where you basically rent a computer for $15 a month and you just have a screen. And they're starting to test that in some of the startups recently. So my advice is 10 years from now, that's how we play games. That's how we play. That's how we do everything. Um, Simple yes and no answer. What's your answer here?
Not as simple as this. No, I think I'm going to be more conservative on it. I think, although I think it will grow, it relies on people having the connection to support it and having the availability to use it. That's as simple as it is. So whether it blows up in a very dense city where everyone's got gigabit internets like over the next 5 years, where a ton of upgrades happen and that becomes a new norm, sure. But the guy's still out there, out living in the countryside. will probably still want his console because that's what works for him.
Okay, and that brings us on to 5G debate, but we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in to this Cyber Squad gaming video. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share button. We'll be doing more conversations like this, as well as Let's Plays and other content. And if you ever want to get involved with more of the community, more of the fans, and a ton more content creators, make sure to jump in our Discord. You'll find the link below.